Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Roll the Dice with Dave. I hope everybody's doing good tonight out there on Facebook Live. Also on YouTube. This is broadcasting live on YouTube. So decided I wanted to go ahead and do something to promote positivity. So coming out with this live broadcast, I'm going to be doing it every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And tonight for our show, we got an interesting show regarding my journey from when my life stood still, referring to when COVID kind of took over our lives and shut everything down, moving forward to where we're at now and how we could look at going forward. So if you are joining me now, either live or if you are going to end up watching this on replay, please go ahead and like and share. If you are watching this on a replay, I want to thank you for watching this rebroadcast. So I also want to let everybody know that we have a couple of hashtags you can use while you comment. So one of the hashtags you can use is hashtag roll the dice with Dave. Also, if you end up watching this on a replay, go ahead and hashtag replay so I know whether you watched it live or you came back and watched it later. The premise of this show, if you notice, is dice. The idea is we're going to be talking about a lot of diverse topics. Diversity is one of them, but I want to move across the entire spectrum of anything and everything that people want to talk about. There are so many people out there that have interesting stories and interesting things to say, and I want to hear about them, and you never know. There may be tons of people out there that want to listen to them too. So go ahead and let me know what you want to say, different topics that we can talk about, and we'll go ahead and broadcast and have these conversations. I also want to be inclusive. One of the things that I think that this country is facing is not listening to each other. Now, we may not like what somebody is saying, but you know what? We need to start stopping and listening to each other just a little bit more than we have. So I want to be inclusive of different opinions, different viewpoints, and also of different topics. C, culture. And today's topic revolves around a cultural point in life that a lot of people are going to be looking at in the future. So let's look at different cultural aspects and the different things that people enjoy dealing with and just want to share with other individuals. And E, let's be equal. Let's show equality. All voices will be heard. So today I do have a guest, Jenny Wayne Burnett, and I'm going to go ahead and bring her into the studio. And I've known Jenny for quite a while now. And Jenny, do you mind just letting me know when did you graduate from East Carolina University? I've been trying to remember, and it all is kind of blurred since I worked at ECU for 12 years. When did you graduate, and what years were you at ECU?
I was there from 2002 to 2006. I was on the 4-year plan, one of the very few from East Carolina.
Okay, one of the few that was on the 4-year plan. So Jenny is going to be having a conversation with me. We're going to be talking a little bit about our journeys from when we really went into this, our life standing still, into where we're at now, and also looking forward. But before we get into that, I do want Jenny to tell a story. Everybody always has a story about a first impression they get or a first meeting. Jenny, do you mind letting everybody know about our first meeting and maybe even your first impression of me that day that we met?
Well, I think it was probably 2003, 2004. I was taking a summer class, making up for trying to be on that 4-year plan. And I remember the professor, I won't name any names, was pretty intense. It's a good word. And we were presenting our end of summer project, and I was with a group, and we were sort of prepared. We'll put it that way. And I remember there was either a new student or a guest. I don't think you were introduced to us before we started our
presentation. No, I wasn't. No, I was not.
And at the end, I remember the professor opening it up for questions, and you started asking all these questions. And I want to say, I think I said, well, who the hell are you? I mean, literally,
yeah, exactly
well, who are you? And why are you asking these questions that we don't know the answers to? And you're exposing the fact that we're not super prepared. And you were like, well, actually, I'm Dr. Rivera, and I teach such and such class, and I'll be seeing you next semester, Miss Wayne. And I was like, oh, snap. Well, that's a good person. I mean, so that was our first encounter. And I mean, we thought you were a student. So we were very like, who are you asking these questions? Shouldn't you be like somewhere else right now? Anyway.
Actually, that makes me feel good you say that, because that was my first year teaching at East Carolina. So I guess I still look young enough to actually be a student in the class. But I do remember that day, and I do remember the presentation. I remember the faculty member that you're talking about, because we are still really good friends. We still stay in touch, me and that faculty member.
So that's a good word.
So yes, that is a good way to describe that individual. So the next thing I want you to talk a little bit about is, I don't know if you remember the time I had a conversation with your mom. So if you can go ahead and just kind of frame that situation a little bit for us.
Yeah. The next semester, obviously you were my professor, and day one, I remember walking in and being like, oh man, I'm like already on that list. And I think it was like a series of events, and it was probably in the first month during your class, my phone rang, and you were in the middle of a lecture and was like, whose phone is that? And we're all like looking around like, whose phone is that? And I realized it was mine. And you're like, I'll take that. You grabbed it and said hello. And it was my mom. And you proceeded to have what felt like a 30-minute long conversation. It was probably only 4 or 5 minutes, but you were like, well, Jenny's in class right now, so she's going to call you back. And I mean, we still talk about this to this day. So, I mean, obviously made a lasting impression. We're still connected all these years later, and just so funny that, you know, here we are now on your amazing new podcast. This is awesome.
Well, the funny thing with your mom is, I think at first, the first couple of minutes of the conversation, she thought I was joking. I think she thought I was a student messing with her, because she kept saying, no, for real, where's Jenny? And I was like, she's sitting in my class. And I think she kept thinking I was a fellow student, and you were sitting in the class with me, versus I'm the faculty member teaching the class. So yeah, you and I go way back. It's crazy to think that it's been so long. I know that
almost 20 years. I mean, that sounds crazy to even say that. It's so crazy.
That's true, because I've been teaching for 16 years. So that first year is when I met you, and actually met that whole little collective of people from East Carolina.
And you were at some of our weddings and all the things. That's
right. Yeah. So, and I've actually gotten birth announcements from people, got a chance to see their kids. It's been an awesome experience. And I think it's because that was my first teaching position. The connection I've developed with students. Once a pirate, always a pirate. I'll always love the ECU Pirate Nation. I still have tons of purple and gold. I still follow ECU on everything that they ever post everywhere. I absolutely love that place. So
I'm going to cut you off because you're not going to brag on yourself. It's also a true testament to you as a person and how engaging you were with your students and how much you cared. So you made a lasting impression on all of us, and that's why we're also connected so many years later. So
well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. So today, like I said, this podcast is focusing on, when did your life stand still? And I remember the day that I guess my life was standing still, but I didn't realize that was the first day of everything was going to be standing still. And I remember March 12th, it was a Thursday. We had a lot of students working their internships for the PGA of America. And what they were doing is working internships, figuring out kind of where they're going to be at the PGA. And before I continue this, I just want to say, Joel, hey, what's up, man? It's good to see you commenting. My brother has just jumped on. Damien, I'm glad you're following. Anne Marie, who's also an ECU grad. Thank you so much for turning in. Love you guys. I really appreciate it. So March 12th, this email goes out, and it's from the PGA letting me know that all of our interns don't need to come back on Friday because they're going to be canceling the PGA. Then shortly after that, I get an email from the president of Flagler College, amazing president, Dr. Joseph Joyner, sends out an email to the entire campus community, letting them know that we are not going to be working that Friday. We are going to start doing things distance and starting really our spring break early. So in my mind, I was thinking, sweet, an extra day of spring break. Me and the kids get to go do something. Spring break next week, and then we'll look at continuing the week after that. So Friday the 13th, kids and I go to Universal Studios, and we know COVID is happening, but I don't think we realized how much of an impact this was about to have on everybody. And that really our lives were about to take a pause, either for the better or the worse. Nobody really knew at that time. And my life was taking a pause for both things, for the better and for the worse. I just didn't realize it then. So my question to you is, when did your life start to stand still? And if I have anybody who's watching, if you don't mind just letting me know in the comments, when do you think your life started standing still? So if people want to share in the comments, Jenny, turn it over to you. When did your life, or did you realize your life was starting to stand still?
I think I'm still trying to realize what's happening fully. But I think it was when I picked my kids up from school on that Friday. And I kind of made a joke, like, you guys ready for an 87-day weekend? I mean, I was kidding, but I wasn't, because very quickly they announced that they wouldn't be going back starting that following Monday, and that there was no real plans to return to school anytime soon. So they kept extending it and extending it and extending it. So I think we just got really used to what the new normal was going to be. I'm really thankful. I have a really flexible job, so I just kind of made it work, and we made the best of it. We had fun. But I think when it started to get real was hearing, it was getting closer to home, and I was personally impacted. A family member passed away from COVID, and not being able to be around family and, do the normal things that you do when you lose a loved one. That really was kind of the realization of, wow, this is real. People are dying, and, we can do our part by standing still. I mean, really, like that's the name of the game. So, I don't know. I think it's kind of an evolving door. I don't think there was like a moment. I think it was just, it all just kind of happened, and we dealt with, new things every phase of COVID. And then obviously I'm in North Carolina, so we're still standing still from hurricanes, tornadoes, and earthquakes. So we've got a whole nother thing going on now.
Yeah, that was crazy. When I heard about the earthquake, that really threw me off. But you also mentioned something interesting. So you mentioned North Carolina, and now I'm in Florida. And I'll be honest, it's like Florida is business as usual from a lot of aspects. So before I get into talking a little bit more about Florida, hopefully my man won't mind. I'm going to go ahead and show his comment. So a good friend of mine, also an ECU connection, go Pirates, met this man when I was in the Pirate Nation. He was working athletics. He said March 11th, when Walt Disney World told me not to come back in. So, with Murph, it was the day before I was essentially impact. And he also made the comment, he hasn't been back in 5 months. So, when you look at that time frame, I think a lot of people have just forgot how much this is impacting people at a very basic level. Everything just from mental well-being and what they're trying to do. So I also have my Titi Vivian Vega. Titi Nani has kind of come on. She talks about how, when she worked harder online. So her life essentially really stopped in one aspect, but she really was not able to stop in another aspect. And I can relate to that on some level, having to teach online. But I will say this, my hat goes off to anybody teaching K through 12. And trying to figure out how they're going to engage these students in landscapes that they never really looked at doing it before. Also have a wonderful comment, and hopefully Jennifer Hodgson won't mind that I throw this up. Another East Carolina University connection here. It's great to see all the Pirates in the house. She talks about what happened on the Science Olympiad competition preparing to take place on March 14th, and it was canceled. They worked so hard. It was so sad. So when you hear about this, people were impacted in different ways. And that's one of the things that they started to realize it. But it wasn't, for me, it wasn't until I looked back. Yeah. So as I look back, I went, oh my gosh, that was the day that I was severely impacted by this.
Actually, I remember a day, actually. And I think Murph brought it up, or just made me remember, we had a trip planned to Disney, and we didn't tell our kids. And the day before Disney actually announced that they were closing, we called the agent that we worked with and called the lines and upgraded our room to the newer resort that we thought, oh, it's newer, it's going to be cleaner. We'll have the skyline. The Rivera is actually the name of it. And we were really excited to upgrade to this new property and knock out our trip before what we thought was going to be the shutdown. And the next day they announced that it was going to be a shutdown. So I think that's the day that I realized, okay, well, and I was really thankful too that we hadn't told our kids. They still don't know to this day.
Oh man, can you imagine if they knew and then couldn't go? Couple of other comments that have come through. One, Nick Carter, furloughed for 4 months. Never had that happen before. Now I will say this: it inspired him to go back to school and get a master's. He is working on getting his master's in sustainable tourism and hospitality at ECU. In case anybody is wondering, Nick is another East Carolina University connection I've had that I've stayed in contact with. And Joel, also an ECU connection. He was told he wasn't going to be traveling until 2021, and typically he's in a plane 3 or 4 days a week. So when you look at the impact that COVID and this situation has had on people, it is crazy. My cousin also, the day that her life stood still, she's talking about she was pregnant, hoping to make it to the end of March on maternity leave. The Pirates show shut down, 9 weeks, turned into not opening until 2021. So there were a lot of things that just triggered people's lives to stand still. And like I said, for me, I don't think it was until the spring semester finished. So spring semester finished, and then I looked back and thought, oh my gosh, all I'm doing is staying at home, teaching classes online. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just walking through the neighborhood, riding my bike, and I eat, slept, breathed, everything was in my house. And one more comment, Jacqueline Maloney, another ECU connection who's married to my man Bird, also graduated from East Carolina. March 16th, bachelorette trip planned for the weekend of March 19th. It got canceled. Last semester of grad school went online the same week as well. So there were just a tremendous amount of things that just started impacting and hitting people left and right. So as a result, we've seen a lot of these things taking place, people's lives standing still. Jenny, I want to ask you, over this time frame, what have you done to try and keep positivity in your life?
I think a lot. For me personally, I read scripture every day. It's kind of where I find, I get this burst of energy and source of positivity. But, a lot of personal development, and I think I'm in the personal development, I guess, business, so to speak. So I'm more aware of kind of how I feel and what I need to do to make myself feel better. What I normally tell people to do is, a little bit in the morning and a little bit before, they go to bed. And I was finding myself having to grab for it kind of throughout the day. Like I've got to get it from somewhere. It's not going to be from Facebook. It's not going to be from the news. It's not going to be from, a chat with a friend who's totally freaked out. It's going to be from some other place. So a lot of, personal development and kind of intentional time with scripture and just myself, whether it was like hiding on the floor of my bathroom from my kids or my closet or, wherever I could get it in.
Okay. Also again, everybody, please feel free to send the comments regarding what you did for positivity. I know for me, I found I tried to stay positive, but what I found myself sometimes was focusing on some of the negative things. With all that downtime, quote unquote downtime, right? You're sitting there looking at the news. You're just constantly watching the news and hearing bad thing after bad thing after bad thing. One of the things I found was I tried to stop watching the news, and I find myself trying to reach out to people in different ways. And one person I want to give the hugest shout out to, and she just made a comment. She's my cousin, but she's my sister. I love her so much. I love her to death. Same thing with Bebe. I love you guys. Your cousins are your siblings that you weren't given, right? So but Cindy reached out and set up Zoom sessions. We were connecting with family on different levels that we just hadn't been doing before. You know what I mean? You're just, you're so busy. There's so much going on. So you're focused on all these other things. And I found myself reaching out to people I just hadn't reached out to in a long time. I also found myself doing things or letting people know, if you don't want to go to the store, let me know. I have no problem going to the store to getting things for you. And I was doing that for some individuals.
It's amazing how somebody else can make you feel so much better.
Yes. And one of my buddies, he's a colleague of mine at Flagler, I think did one of the greatest things for me. He let me borrow his scooter. So he had a little scooter, and I hadn't ridden a scooter since me and some of my boys went on a spring break to Miami, right? So this is back in the 90s when I'm a student at the University of South Carolina. We go on spring break and we get scooters. So I'm riding scooters around town, riding it out to the beach. It was such a great experience just doing that and just doing something different, that it was awesome just to do that. Riding my bike, exercising, and I'll talk a little bit about health and nutrition a little bit more later. But I was doing those things to try and stay positive. Here's another one of my cousins that's more my sister than anything. She played worship music, play in makeup, and read, binge watch TV. That's another thing I started doing. I don't know if anybody's into the show The Office. I am rewatching it for the third time now during this this crisis.
The good news that Jim did.
Oh yeah,
the good news report. I found myself looking at that, and I got my kids watching it. So,
there is also a podcast from the ladies of The Office that I've been listening to. So I've also been reading a lot of leadership books, listening to a lot of audio books. So in doing that, one of the audio books is what inspired me to go ahead and do this. My thought was whether this is a success or a failure, it doesn't matter. The important thing is that I give it a try, because the last thing I want to do is 10 years from now going, I had that opportunity and I didn't take advantage of it. So I love this. Jennifer Hodgson, she put down, she enjoyed the slowdown of the schedule. I realized how much my life was spent going places, but not being in the moment. And that is so true. So I don't know if any of you were following me. I started doing TikTok videos with my daughter. My daughter was like, hey, Dad, you got to do a TikTok. You got to do a TikTok. And I would tell her all the time, TikTok is the dumbest thing in the world. I am never going to do a TikTok. Next thing you know, we did one TikTok. Then we did 2 TikToks. Then we did 3 TikToks. And we got a lot of positive feedback. The most important thing out of it was I was able to find a connection with my daughter that I think I may not have realized if we didn't have this situation happen. So that was such a positive, fun thing to go through. Now, I also want to bring this up again. Titi Nani, she goes, depression is strong at this time. She prays a lot more than she has ever prayed. And one of the things that I want to mention is, I haven't stepped inside of a church building since all of this really started happening. However, what I have found is that my relationship with God has improved because I have taken a step back and really reached a spiritual side that I think I wasn't doing before, where Jennifer mentioned just going through the motions and not being in the moment.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'm not offending anybody when I say this, but, Sunday going to church, it was like, we got to get up. We're going to church, getting everybody ready. We get there. We're tired. People are falling asleep in church. People aren't paying attention. You're doing your checkbook in church and you're not really focusing on the relationship. So that was something I did there. And I tell you what, I am so excited to see this comment. In case everybody wondering who Barbecue Lou is, we went to high school together. That's my man, Luis Rivera. We share the last name. We are, at least we don't think we're related, but we probably are. Being Riveras from Puerto Rico, we probably are related. But my man is doing some amazing things. He's got his own company, barbecue sauce he's making with his son. If you haven't heard of him, check him out, because the man is doing amazing things. And I'm really excited that he made a comment. So I love Woohoo, The Office rocks. That's true positivity there. Joel, again, him and his wife have reminded themselves how fortunate they are to have their careers and be able to avoid the layoffs. My wife and I were very thankful. She worked for the public school system as a paraprofessional working with special needs children, and she wasn't laid off. They kept figuring out ways to keep her employed. Flagler has not furloughed individuals. They figured out how to keep people on. So, we paid attention to that, and we were very, very thankful, and we focused more on living in the moment and just being appreciative of everything. Want to give out another shout out to one of my brothers from high school. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Manhattan Center Rams in the house, going to high school together. And if you don't know about my man, Jerome, you got to check him out. He's also a lot of positivity out there. So here is one of my colleagues. I love her to death, Rena Ahuja. She is unbelievable faculty member at Flagler. She can honestly say that she found positivity in the simple things in life. And it's great to see this because I always found her to be a positive individual, very uplifting. So to hear her say that she even found more positivity in this is just a great thing. And another comment from Jacqueline Maloney. She listens to the Office Ladies as well. She loves it, bought the DVDs. Brian, I call him Bird. That's her husband. Was still being able to work. So I think a lot of people found good things that they were able to get out of this. And even though many of us are still facing a lot of issues and problems, there are a lot of positive things that people are still focusing on. So I want to pivot to the reason I put nutrition is because that was probably not one of the positive things. So before I get and ask kind of Jenny what she did, I want to give you guys my experience. So I'm a faculty member at Flagler. I'm also the director of hospitality and tourism at Flagler College. And I deal a lot with industry professionals. And one of my favorite industry professionals, whenever she comes around, is Allie Burkett. She deals with beverage management. And she had come to my class right before COVID and was talking about alternative packaging in alcohol. And when I'm talking about alternative packaging and alternative alcohol, I am talking about White Claw, Truly, the Bud Light seltzers, the low alc drinks, and different packaging it comes in. So here we are with COVID. We're at home, being more sedentary, not doing as much. I don't know about anybody else, but my nutrition plan flew out the window. I found myself in the store one day walking around, and you should never go shopping when you're hungry and thirsty. And I was hungry and thirsty. Oreos, cookies, I mean, you name it, chips going in the bag. On top of that, into the cart. On top of that, I started going, you know what? Let me see what's to this White Claw thing. Let me see what's to this. What was the one you turned me on to? Was it
Rosé water?
No, not the moon.
We were talking about that.
Something moon.
Something moon.
But that was fire too. That was so good. So I found myself, trying all these low alc alternative drinks. And here's the crazy thing, right? So just throwing it out there, not having to go into work, right? Still working from home. Here you are, 2:00 in the afternoon, and you're like, what else do I have to do? You're sitting there grabbing the low alc drink, right? And you're justifying it going, well, it's not as bad as a beer. It's not as bad as this. And next thing you know, you have 2 or 3, you're taking a nap on the couch. Let me go ahead and eat these chips. I love this right here. So this is my brother, Damien, who is the CEO of Alpha, a Latino organization. I have eaten more ice cream in the last 5 months than I have in the last 5 years. Definitely need to adjust my diet. So I can relate because I've been doing the same things. And, I've recently been diagnosed as a diabetic, right? So I'm on medication, and my wife, who's also diabetic, our kids, we have 4 kids home now. My daughter's home from college, and they're like, hey, can we get gummies? Hey, can we get this? So it's in the house. I'm sitting around watching The Office, and what do? Grabbing them, right? Eating them. I know when I finally go back to see my doctor, he's going to be like, what the hell have you been doing, bro? Another piece right here. I love it. So Josiah, she said the air fryer ruined everything. No, at least it's an air fryer. That's a little bit better, right? Nick, he said, I feel you. Same way here, and this is one of those things. I know a lot of people that got depressed because their nutritional plans just went out the window. And as a result of nutrition going out the window, health and exercise and diet went out the window. And it was just getting in their heads. I love this one. So my man right here, Blue Moon Light Sky. Haven't tried that one. I might have to give that one a try, Nick.
I think it was High Noon. I just thought about it. High Noon.
Oh yeah, High Noon. Okay,
High Noon.
That's the one that we were talking about. That's right. Mm-hmm. All the Prosecco, and you know what? When I was spending some time just outside the Charlotte area, anytime I went to the Jenkins household, it was always Prosecco was in the house. I remember doing store runs and getting it. So I'm not surprised that more people were getting down at it. So a couple of more comments before I get to you, Jenny. So my titi lost 25 pounds before the lockdown, and she gained all 25 back since. And here's the thing, Titi, I just want to say, you're beautiful, even with the 25 pounds on. You've always been such a beautiful person. And I think people need to embrace what they what they've put on or what they've taken off. Everybody's journey is different. I was reaching a point where before COVID, I was down to 175. I'm actually back up to 185. And I will be honest, I really don't care right now. My suits are still fitting me, maybe a little bit. Honestly, they may be fitting me a little bit better. Since I had lost the weight, they were fitting a little bit looser. Now they're probably fitting me a little more fit the way they should be. So I feel pretty good about that. And I love it. Joel's talking about COVID-15 is real. We just started Home Chef a few weeks ago, and it helped a lot with the portion size, kind of controlling everything there. So Jenny, I want to ask you from a nutrition standpoint, what have you been doing? Because you have 2 young kids, right? Is it 2? 3. Okay. So you have 3. And they're younger kids. And kids want to eat anything and everything in sight all day, every day. It doesn't get better. My youngest is about to be 13. All day, every day, they're wanting to eat. So how did you manage your nutritional intake?
I think there wasn't a whole lot of managing. It was managing their expectations about what the next meal was. So we did a lot of baking. We did a lot of cake baking. As soon as certain places were open for takeout, we were like, oh, well, we're stimulating the economy. Let's get ice cream and milkshakes and homemade gelato and all the things. So, and those were like outings. Even a car ride was an outing to get a sweet treat. So, we didn't really watch what we were eating, so to speak. I think we did a lot of comfort food eating because it made us feel better, right? That's why, somebody said they've eaten a lot of ice cream. I'm like, I can totally relate to that. But one of the things I did do with the kids, and just for parents that are watching with their kids going back to school or not going back, we did those little bento boxes or like a snack. A friend said, get a snack bin and put certain things that they can have. And once those are gone, they're gone. You can't have any more. So, we did that for them. I kind of wish hindsight's 2020. I should have done that for myself. Like, once your snacks are gone, you're done for the day. But, they at least had that, they knew what they could have throughout the day. But yeah, we did a lot of takeout. We didn't feel like cooking. I didn't realize that this was going to turn into me being a chef and a personal assistant to my 9, 6, and 2-year-old for the next undetermined amount of time. So, nutrition was not at the forefront, and I'm hoping that, getting back in the routine with school, we can make that a little bit more of a priority and start watching what we're eating a little bit better.
So kind of touching on that, actually, let me go to this one first. So my man Murph said, both of us have lost some weight because I've been home cooking more, keeping Anne-Marie focused on her weight loss plan. The crazy thing is, Murph, you are a beast when it comes to cooking, man. I've had your cooking. I don't know if I would have lost weight if you were cooking for me. I probably would have sat there and just eaten and gone through everything. But kudos to you guys. Now, Josiah, I love you, but if I had been in the same house with you, I probably would have wanted to kick your butt. Talking about, I stopped buying sugar the last week. So, yeah, man, even though the doctor said, hey, you got to watch your sugar, I'm taking medication for it. I still I got to get that little bit of sugar. So, aspect from nutrition is a big piece there. So moving into the next piece, rest. Now, you mentioned, you have the 3 kids. What did you do to try and find time to just rest, just to kind of lower it down a little bit?
I'm embarrassed to say we had a lot of screen time. It was a lot of like, let's watch a movie and just get them settled so that we could kind of have some rest. But I think this whole thing has kind of caused us to rest. So, I have, like I said, a flexible job, but prior to the shutdown, I was traveling a lot. I was going, a couple times a month to different places, hotels, flying, all the things. And this kind of forced us to kind of rest and find more meaning in the simpler things. So I feel like that in of itself kind of created a rest that we weren't really looking for, but we totally needed.
So, okay. So that's a good way you look at, screen time. And I guess even here in my household, screen time was a big thing. But for me, what I found was trying to find times to rest actually became harder. I don't know if it's because things were always just running on my mind. And I actually found myself working more. So sitting at my home office that I set up, and just working more. So there were things that needed to be done. Let me go ahead and get these things done. And I found that some of my colleagues would send emails through random times. Here come were these random times, and 11, 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And what do you know? I respond, and then they respond back in the email. And I'm like, oh man, now there's two of us that are up at this time, right? And I felt that as a result of constantly being up and going through the nights, I had trouble resting. So even when I tried to focus on going to bed, let me go to bed at 9 o'clock. I would wake up maybe at 11, then again at 2, then again at 4. And I just found myself constantly not being able to rest when I thought maybe it should have been the other way. And I should have been able to kind of calm myself down a little bit more. I was having trouble resting. And as a result of having trouble resting, I tried to do more things to tire myself out, which in turn made me even more restless. I just couldn't rest. Right. So I want to throw this up here. Sadly, most screen time and begging my 10-year-old to keep an eye on the other two so she could at least get a hot bath, trying to get that rest in. Here's another comment. I think this one's good. Lots of rest, but not sleeping because the energy is not getting burned resting. So I agree with you there, Murph. There were a lot of times where I found, just sitting in front of the TV. But then as a result, I think that just caused me, when I did try to get restful sleep and go to bed, the mind and the body was just going nonstop and not able to tone it down, which as a result brings me to my next piece, exercise and health. So some of the people that have known me for years know that I had trained for triathlons, did it for several years, competed against my brother, who actually has a winning record against me head-to-head in triathlons, and actually kicked my butt by some significant times a couple of times over the years, right? But the focus was having the exercise and health plan was something that was really important to me. One of the things, I was a member of Orange Theory, and I was going about 4 times a week, and the weight was coming down, the energy was being burned off. But then here comes COVID, boom, there it goes, right? Can't go to the gym. And now people are going back to the gym, but I'm going to be honest. Am I 100% completely terrified of COVID? No. But I'm also going to be cautious of the situations I put myself in. And I feel that one situation I do not want to put myself in is in a small workout room where people are sweating and breathing heavy. And even though they're talking about 6 feet of distance, you have to move station to station, right? So for me, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but for me, that is a concern. So I'm not going back to Orange Theory. I'm not going to go back to 9 Round, which I was a member of 9 Round when I lived in the Charlotte area. Great 9 Round facility, some of the best people. But I just think given the situation, that the closeness, at least for me right now, I don't feel comfortable going back. So what did I start doing? I start running, but I'm running on the road. I have a reconstructed left knee. I have a bad shoulder from playing ball. I have a bad elbow. I'm also on the bike. So I find myself biking 15 to 20 miles when I bike a couple of times a week. 3 times to 4 times a week, I'm running anywhere from 3 to 6 miles, and the body is taking a beating. And here's the crazy thing. As a result, aches and pains throughout the entire body, which then impacts my restful sleep at night. So then not only am I waking up, but I'm also waking up in pain. So Jenny, did you have a exercise or a health plan that you put together?
We weren't really routine with anything. I mean, we did a lot of walks. We actually had, for a little while, we had a schedule that we followed that had walks and outside playtime kind of on the schedule. And then we did some YouTube yoga sessions. Some of the teachers were doing PE online, which was cool. I think we did a few family bike. I mean, I will say it kind of forced us to do these simple things like a family bike ride. I mean, we kind of tuned up our bikes and all of us were on them. We got the pole behind for my 2-year-old and we did a few at it pretty regularly, a couple times a week at least. So, I mean, we weren't really like making it a goal, but it was kind of like we had to, for our sanity, to just get outside and do something outside. I mean, we're fortunate enough to live in a climate that is it was pretty mild for a while, and we were able to do a lot of outdoor activities. So, I kept saying, I can't imagine living where it's snowing right now and, it's 30 degrees and we're out going for a walk because it's nice outside. So that's the kind of stuff we did just to kind of, tire the kids out, especially my 2-year-old. We bought a trampoline.
Oh, okay.
And we fixed up our backyard. So the kids actually were playing outside a lot more than they were probably before COVID. So, yeah, it wasn't until now that I actually like thought, well, maybe we did do some things that were more intentional to kind of exercise and make that more of a priority. But yeah.
All right. So just a couple of things. So I wanted to put this up. Found I was not able to rest because of all the constant worry about my adult children who live on their own. And I could understand that because my daughter Sadie, who's in college, was away for a little bit of this time. But also Cindy mentioned, just not ready for the gym situation. And I could understand that. I'm not ready for it. I'm thankful I live in Florida now. Now, the only thing is I got to get up early because by 8:30, it's already, ungodly hot here in Florida with the humidity and the heat. So I try to hit it at about 6:30, going either running or biking in the morning. Have more pain because I don't do much exercise. So that is another thing, that is helping with the body kind of getting out. Some people went out and bought bikes, bought some used gym equipment for the garage. We had trouble actually finding bikes because, my daughter wanted a bike and my wife and I were going on walks and bike rides often and things like that. So that is a big aspect. I love sporadic home yoga. Not ready for the gym yet, even though the monthly payments have started back. Oh man, it's a shame that they started them back. I will say some people are having that issue, but for me, I agree with you, Jacqueline. Even if they were charging me, I don't think I'd be ready to go back at this point. And I love this. I want to bring this up. This ties a little bit to just that mental health. Who got a dog during COVID? So if anybody got a dog, go ahead and just make a little comment in there so we know who has a dog, because that's a great piece. But the next topic I just want to cover in general, because this is where you came into play. So over this time, I'm having trouble getting good solid rest. I'm exercising more, so I'm in pain. And one of the things I started doing was exploring what could help me get better sleep, what could also help with the pain. So I'm exploring all these different avenues. My dad is a big advocate of CBD, and I started exploring the CBD component. And I'd say about a month ago, a little bit over a month ago, you had reached out and you said, "Hey, Rivera, what do you know about CBD?" And then we started a conversation, and then I started using CBD, and almost immediately. And when I say almost immediately, I'm talking about I got my package, I believe, on the 5th or the 6th. Took my first dose as soon as I got the package. Took my next one right before I went to bed. Slept through the night that first night. Thought, there's no way, right? There's no way. I'm just tired. The next day, same thing. Took the dose in the morning, took the dose in the evening before bed, slept through the night. And that was on July 6th and 7th. Today is August 11th, and I have slept through the night every night since I've started on CBD. And my dad is a big advocate of CBD and has used it. And I don't know why I didn't start using it before. It took you reaching out and saying, "Hey, Rivera, man, have you just tried it? Think about it. Give it a try. What do you know about it?" So started using it, and it really did help. Other things I've noticed from a lack of them being there. I have 2 teenage boys. They're both football, baseball players. They work out, and they're always like, "Hey, Dad, come work out with us." Hey, I'm not young anymore. I'm 47. I can't hang with those guys the way I used to, even 2 years ago, right? So they want to throw the football around. They want me to run around with them. And I noticed the absence of pain the next day or the day after. So that is something that for me was a big game changer in using CBD. And I always said, if I'm going to use it, I need to use it consistently to see if it's going to work. I feel I've been using it for a month, and I've also been using minimal dosages. I've only been using 0.25 milliliters this entire time, and don't have the shoulder pain, don't have the elbow pain. When I go running, sometimes right afterwards, the throbbing in the reconstructed knee, haven't had issues. So it's been the absence of stuff versus it doing more things. Slept through the night. Only time I haven't is when the dog wakes me up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, right? So I just want you to talk a little bit about your thoughts on CBD, how long you have been associated with CBD. Just give us, your perspective on CBD as a product.
Yeah. And I will say the whole reason I reached out to you is because you were doing those TikToks, and I'm like, you're going to pull something. You got to try this stuff. I was like, he needs to use this or he's going to hurt something or someone. But no, we were looking into CBD for a while. My daughter had, without making, medical claims, she had a situation where she moved her legs a lot at night. And to the point where we had to seek medical counsel, and she was waking up more than my newborn. Just couldn't, console her, was waking up. So, we were looking into different options, and a friend reached out to me just very similar to this and said, what do you know about CBD? And she actually was launching a CBD company. And we, while we had no interest in the business side of things, we said, yeah, we'll absolutely try it. I mean, we've been looking into it, and it was kind of like the stars aligned, kind of like this, where we were already kind of looking for something to help her. And we tried it with her, and she slept, I want to say, within the first week, she had slept through the night. Within 2 weeks, she was sleeping through the night. So in turn, I was sleeping through the night. And then that's where I kind of felt as a mom, that weight lifted, that constant worry of, when's she going to wake up? When is my younger one going to wake up? And I felt like I was ping-ponging back and forth between their two rooms. And, after about a month, I really saw, kind of the full benefits, because it does take a while to get in your system for you to find that it's already helping you so soon. I think is tremendous and huge testimony to the products that we use, and just, a good one for sure. But, I think the biggest thing is just with using CBD, the industry is unregulated. So, if you're looking for one that's out there, they are there. You just really have to know a few things. One, where they come from, what's in it. You really want to be able to trace it back to the farm. If it's organic or certified organic, obviously that's a major bonus, because there is so many companies out there that are taking advantage of the absence of regulation. So, you could get off this call right here and say, oh, I'm going to start a CBD company. That sounds kind of fun and exciting, and order a shipping container of hemp from China and, bottle it, put it in a pretty little bottle and call it whatever you want to call it, Vivi's CBD. And, very quickly, eventually we'll get regulated and things like that will get shut down, but the consumers don't know any better. So, what you pick up off the gas station shelf or, smoke shop or somewhere else, Bed Bath & Beyond, is very different from what you can find from, a reliable source. So, I feel really blessed to be aligned with a company that I know is doing things the right way. And I'm so thankful that you were open to trying it. And here you are telling us already how well it's working. That is so rewarding to me. And I think in all of this, why I've stayed positive mentally and I think more physically is because I am helping people through this. You're helping people feel better, whether it's pain, and stress and anxiety manifest a lot of times in pain. So when you're able to remove those out of the equation, people start sleeping better and they start feeling better, and in turn their quality of life improves. So that's pretty much, I love CBD. I'm a big advocate, obviously. And I'm excited for, some of our viewers here to give it a try, because it can be completely life-changing.
And that was one of the reasons why I asked, because it is, I feel this is the C part and the dice, the cultural phenomenon. I think, originally CBD was seen as kind of had that negative tie to it. And like here's, my cousin Cindy said, Rafael tried. And I think more and more people are looking at it as a viable option, where probably 5 years ago, I would have never even imagined looking at it as a potential remedy. I would have, because I wasn't using the Advil. I stayed away from Advil. I try to stay away from medications because I'm worried about the side effects. Mm-hmm. So this was a long time coming, and this was a big leap of faith on my part. But I feel that this is a cultural phenomenon that more and more people, and people you don't expect, I think are using it. And is CBD for everybody? I don't know. But I do think that there are a lot of people out there that may have exhausted a lot of options as far as what could possibly help me. And I felt I was at that point. I didn't want to continuously pop, 3 or 4 Advil before I go to bed because of the potential negative effects that Advil could have on the rest of the body. So, that was one of the reasons why I asked you to come on and we kind of go through this journey, because you really introduced me, even though my father had been talking about it for a long time, you really introduced me to the idea, hey, give this a try. You keep talking about all these things, go ahead and give it a try and see where it takes you. And I can say, at least for me, it's yielded some positive results. I will also say this, before I even started anything, I did send an email to my doctor and kind of asked his thoughts. And he said, haven't really had a lot of experimentation with it. All I know is that people that try it, they talk about all the good things that they get from it. So that was really the extent of the conversation. So yes, so are you able to share the company that you go through? Yes, we're going to have an opportunity, and I'm going to put up some information, not specifically about the company, but another broadcast, because we are getting close to the hour mark. So Joel, we are going to give you an opportunity to find out a little bit more about it. So I just want to jump over to this little piece right here. If you are interested in attending a live event, just to find a little bit more about the company Jenny is referring to, and also just finding out a little bit more about, is CBD a good fit for you? You can reach out to my wife. She can be reached at St. Augustine CBD at gmail.com. Also, there is going to be, like I said, an event, and I'm going to go ahead and just put up some information on the event, so this way everybody can see it. So the event is going to take place next week on the 18th. And it's going to be at 8 p.m. It's going to be a Facebook Live event for anybody who is interested. And like I said, I wanted to give an opportunity for anybody who thinks they may be interested. They can go ahead and email, attend the Facebook Live session where they speak about the company from there. And before we get ready to wrap things up, Jenny, is there anything else that you wanted to add before I kind of wrap things up from here?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me as a guest. This is really cool. And I'm so excited to see, as the weeks go on, the content that you provide. It's so engaging, and it's so cool to see so many familiar faces on both Facebook, and there's some live streaming happening. So there's a lot of viewers. It's really, really cool. And on the CBD event specifically, it's going to be a really short presentation. Maybe 15 minutes. And we're really going to cover what it is, how it works. So why you might be having these benefits and seeing relief, because of how it impacts and actually works in the body. We're going to cover what to look for in a good one, and then also share a company that is really raising the bar in the industry and doing things the right way with full transparency. So I'm excited for you guys to check that out. And it is next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And I'm sure if you reach out to Kathy in the meantime, she'll share more about the company she's affiliated with. But I'm just really excited that you guys are here checking it out, because it can really, really change things for how we navigate the rest of this COVID situation.
Yeah. Yes. And also, if anybody can't remember the St. Augustine CBD at gmail.com to send Kathy an email, you could always just look her up on Facebook. There's also St. Aug CBD is her business page, so you can check that out as well. And as we wrap things up, just to let everybody know, next Thursday at 9 p.m., there'll be another episode of Roll the Dice with Dave. If you're interested in certain topics being discussed, please reach out. You can always email me at rollthedicewithdave@gmail.com. You can like and share my Facebook page, Roll the Dice with Dave. You could also reach out to me using my regular Facebook profile. And next week, we're covering questions about you. So these are just random deep thought type questions. Again, focusing on positivity, looking at diversity of topics, inclusion, culture, and equity. So that wraps up this episode of Roll the Dice with Dave. I just want to thank everybody that joined me. And Jay Evans, another ECU contact. Hey, man, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining and supporting. This really means a lot to me, especially all of you that have joined from the Pirate Nation. It just shows that once a pirate, always a pirate. I love all of you very much. Thank you guys for turning in, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week and a wonderful evening. Jenny, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you. You have a good night.